doing, everybody, and welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're back. It is Monday, a great Monday in the great state of Wisconsin. It was a pretty good weekend, gotta say, pretty good weekend. Weather-wise, it got up into the 50s there a little bit. Started out with snow, middle of Wisconsin here. Was not expecting it. We got a little bit of snow, and that was like, crap, here it comes. Here it comes. We got a pretty good dusting of snow there over this. I believe it was on Friday there morning. It snowed a little bit, and it was like, crap. Here we go. We're gonna get snow again. But weekend ended up fantastic. Ended up getting a little bit of sunshine here. Got up to about mid 50s on Sunday there. So fantastic weather right there. Over the weekend, Friday night, fish fry. If you get into the central Wisconsin area, check out the Marshfield Country Club. Get down there on a Friday night here coming up. They're having their fish fries on Friday night right now. Fantastic. I had the honey. It is a honey smoked salmon, honey sriracha smoked salmon. Fantastic there. Had that with a little broccolini. First time I've had broccolini. Not that bad, I gotta say. Pretty good food down there this weekend, and then spent the weekend painting. We got a new house. We're not moving in yet, so we're working on the painting right now. So we painted the living room, painted the dining room. It was fantastic. Nothing better than painting walls and everything like that. Got into a lot of sports, though, this weekend. A lot of stuff happening over the weekend, and we're going to talk about it all today. So right away, I'm going to jump into the Bucks. Bucks coming off the All-Star break, we were worried. We were like, what Bucks team is going to come out of this All-Star break? We saw the team going in where Doc Rivers said that half his team was in Cabo on the last play of the game against that Grizzlies team. First game out, they went to Minnesota, and I got to say, this game ended 112-107. I thought the Bucks played better than 112-107. They had a big lead. The Timberwolves were able to close that gap, get it back within, but Dame time. It ended up as Dame time. Damian Lillard was able to weather that storm for this Bucks team. Bucks played. I thought it was a fantastic game, really. I stayed up for it. 9 o'clock tip. I thought that was terrible. Who's tipping a game in Minneapolis at 9 o'clock at night? That was ridiculous. But anyways, the tip time happened. This game, fantastic for the Bucks. Giannis had 33 points, and that is what we wanted to see out of Giannis coming out of that All-Star break. He was having a couple of games there, 20 a game. It was like, yeah, that's fine, but we need some guys to pick it up there. Giannis took this one under wraps on his own. 33 points there, 14 for 21 from the free throw line. Doesn't sound fantastic, but for Giannis, 14 for 21 is solid there. 13 rebounds in that game. That was impressive in its own, and 9 for 13 from the floor. He actually did have a 3 in this game here. It was 1 for 1 from downtown there. Other than that, looking across the board there, stat-wise, Brook Lopez had a good night shooting the basketball, 4 for 10 from the three-point line in this game, 6 for 12 from the floor. He finished with 16 in this game. 3 rebounds, though. Brook Lopez is turning into not your ordinary, what you would expect, big man for this Bucks team. A lot of perimeter for Brook Lopez. Other than that, Damian Lillard, 21 points in this one, 2 for 8 from downtown, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. He had 10 assists, 9 rebounds in this game. Almost got himself a triple-double there in that game against Timberwolves. Looking on the outside there, Beasley with 14 points in this game to go along with this Bucks starting lineup. And then Bobby Portis off the bench, 14 points there. So all the way around, impressive work here by the Bucks to pull off that 112-107 win over the Timberwolves. Defensively, Bucks look good. They look good in this game. And to hold the Timberwolves team to 107, one of the best teams in the Western Conference, going to their place, a place where this team is on the season 19-6 now after that loss to the Bucks. That's impressive. That is impressive, especially because you look at the Bucks record on the road. They were 12-14 going in that game. Now they're 13-14. Not a good road team, great home team, and the Bucks were able to take it to them. So I thought that was great to see if you are a Bucks fan, not so much if you are a Timberwolves fan. But on the flip side of that, then you look at the Timberwolves. So defensively for the Bucks, they were able to slow down this Timberwolves team. Outside of Anthony Edwards' 28 points, Cat had 22, Rudy Gobert had 12. Other than that, only guy in double figures was Alexander coming off the bench there for this Timberwolves team with 13. But Bucks were able to kind of weather the storm that was this very impressive Timberwolves team heading into this second half of the season. So all the way around, great work by the Bucks here. They had 47 rebounds in this game. 47 rebounds in the game compared to 52 for the Timberwolves. So Timberwolves did out rebound the Bucks in this one, but Bucks able to weather that storm, took care of business, and this is what we saw. Bucks 112-107 finish there over the Timberwolves. That was on Friday night, and then that led us into the big game on Sunday, and that was coming up against the Philadelphia 76ers without Joel Embiid. Mind you, without Joel Embiid. But the Bucks still in this game played outright impressive. 35 points in the first quarter of this matchup against the 76ers to pace them throughout this. And looking at the box in this one, I mean, the Bucks, 35 points in the first quarter, 34 points in that second quarter. That's impressive in its own right. But Bucks in this game here, Jay Crowder, I don't know what to do with Jay Crowder. You need him. You need a guy. He's a guy, but 0 points in 25 minutes. 0 for 4 from the floor. He was 0 for 3 from downtown. He had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, but other than that, non-factor. He only had one foul in this game. Non-factor all the way across for Jay Crowder. Other than that, looking at the Bucks in this one, Giannis went for 30. He had 12 rebounds, and he also had 9 assists. So Dame almost had a triple-double on Friday night. Giannis almost goes for a triple-double here on Sunday. Damian Lillard for 24 in this one. Beasley had 20 points in this game, and Brook Lopez had 11 to pace the Bucks in this one. Outside of that, looking at the bench for the Bucks in this game, Bobby Portis had 17 points. So good back-to-back games there for Bobby Portis. Kind of something that we were looking at seeing there. Gallinari has not scored yet for the Bucks in minimal minutes so far. I expect to see his minutes go up, but I mean, Gallinari, we're hoping he's going to develop here a little bit for this Bucks team. Pat Connaughton had 8 points against Timberwolves. He had 7 here against the Sixers. I don't know with Pat Connaughton. If there was a way that I could just ship guys out at this point, I would ship guys out. But I don't have that say-so to be able to ship guys out the door. So definitely impressive by the Bucks there. On the flip side of it for the Sixers, Bucks did well defensively in this one. The only one with real notable scoring in this game was Tyrese Maxey. 24 points for Maxey. He was 3 for 6 from downtown in this game. Other than that, you look across the board here, Reed had 13 points for him, 11 points for Buddy Hield in this game. Melton had 16 and Oubre had 12, but you can tell how much the 76ers missed a little bit of Joel Embiid in that game there. So Bucks, 2 in a row. 2 in a row. Is this the Bucks team that we've been hoping to see? I do believe so. I just feel like they're missing that one guy yet. They're missing Chris Middleton yet. And people might say, well, Chris he's not playing that well and blah, blah, blah. He's not going to do that much for you when he comes back. I beg to differ. Because if the Bucks are playing like this with Jay Crowder, now Jay Crowder is a good defender. I won't say that Jay Crowder is not a good defender, but Jay Crowder offensively is terrible right now. If Chris can give you 3/4 of what Jay Crowder gives you defensively, and he can give me 20 points a game shooting the basketball, he already one-upped them. And Bucks are winning some of these games offensively in blowout fashion. Defensively, they're playing fine. I mean, this game, 98 points given up to the 76ers. I get you don't have Joel Embiid, but this is still a good, decent 76ers. I won't say good. I'll say decent 76ers team. And to only allow 98 points to that team, not bad work. Now you add Chris Middleton back into that mix. Maybe that sparks your offense even more to make this even more of a blowout, because Bucks are playing well defensively right now. They're holding teams. I mean, Timberwolves 107, this one 98 to the 76ers. They're holding teams down, but you got to be able to score buckets too, because you're going to get into a game where another team's shooting hot. I mean, you look at games like we saw the other night there with Golden State and the Denver Nuggets. You got to be able to shoot the basketball to play in those kind of games, when both teams are rolling. So where do the Bucks find that? Do they find that with Chris when he comes back? Is it a guy coming off the bench? Is it AJ Green? I don't know. But you got to find those pieces that are going to fit here moving forward. So Bucks will be in action again. That'll be coming up on Tuesday when they face the Charlotte Hornets. So we'll get into that game as the week goes on here. We'll get into it tomorrow there. But Bucks have a double. I mean, they're going to play a double, not a double header, but they're playing the Hornets there at the Pfizer coming up there on Tuesday, and then they're going to travel to Charlotte to take on the Hornets there on the 29th. So back-to-back games there against the Charlotte Hornets coming up. Two very winnable games before they go into a tough stretch there where they will face the likes of the Bulls, the Clippers, Golden State, the Lakers, the Clippers again, Sacramento, 76ers, Phoenix, and it goes on from there. Very tough schedule that the Bucks have left on this season. But with that, I want to get out of the Bucks here, stay in the NBA. I want to look at the updated NBA standings as of right now. So just flipping over there real quick. Got to get it pulled up on the old iPad. Sometimes it doesn't want to work out for me. Sometimes it doesn't want to. Here it is. Got her up on the old iPad here. Bucks currently still in that third place spot. They are sitting 8.5 games back of the Celtics, who are in first. Cleveland coming in second right now at 7.5 games back. The Knicks coming in 11 games back in the 4th spot. 76ers slowly dropping. They're in that number 5 spot right now. They're 12 games back of that first place spot. 12.5 games back are the Pacers, followed by the Magic at 13. 13.5 games back are the Miami Heat, and then 18.5 games back are the Chicago Bulls. Hawks are sitting at 20.5 games back there to fill out the top 10 there in the Eastern Conference. The 10 teams in the playoff picture as of right now. Way I look at this right now, besides the Cavaliers surge that they had heading into the All-Star break, and then they lost, I believe, 2 in a row leading up to this point here, they did just win yesterday. So Cleveland does get that game back on the Bucks. The Bucks were actually sitting just a half game back before that game. But Cleveland's the only surprise one for me. That does have to factor with the Bucks struggles, the 76ers struggles, and the Knicks, not really struggles. This is kind of where we expected the Knicks to be, but mainly just the 76ers and the Bucks falling out of that 2 and 3 spot there. The Bucks are in the 3 spot, but 76ers falling out. That allowed Cleveland to get back up there into that 2 spot. So that'd be the only interesting one there in the East for me right now. When you flip over to the West, kind of still interesting there. We have at the top of the conference, we have the Timberwolves and Thunder. Thunder coming in a half game back of the Timberwolves. Then we have the Clippers coming in 2 games back. Denver Nuggets 2 games back. Pelicans are 6 games back. The Suns are 6.5, followed by the Kings and the Mavericks, both 7 games back. The Warriors are sitting 10 games back, and so are the Lakers. The West, I just got to say, in the West, you look at the bottom half, the 9 and the 10 seed with the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. I'm not as worried about, if I was a team that had to play one of these two, I would not be as worried about the Lakers. Everybody's like, oh, King James, whatever you want to say. MJ's still the GOAT. But everybody thinks about LeBron and that. And, you can say the same thing. Everybody thinks of Curry and this kind of stuff. But this Golden State Warriors team, ever since Klay Thompson started coming off the bench for the Warriors and has been just on a torch since he started coming off the bench, they've been impressive, I've thought. They have good guard play. We know that. They have Steph. They have Pod. And they have, good front court play. Draymond Green coming back. Everybody likes to hate on Draymond. But Draymond, when this offense is running right, Draymond is an instrumental part in making it go. So Draymond coming back, fantastic. They got good bench play. A guy the Bucks, I wish the Bucks would have gotten Trace Jackson-Davis coming off the bench. They have fantastic bench play. The Warriors are a team I watch out for. If I am in the West right now, it's a team I don't want to see. Because when they get hot, they get hot. They torch it. They can torch the bottom. They have a bunch of guys on that team who can hit the bottom of the net there from long distance. So definitely a team to watch out for there as the Warriors climbing back into it. Other than that, at this point, you can't say the Timberwolves and Thunder are surprises anymore. This is where they are, and anything less for the Thunder and Timberwolves than second round, even a Western Conference final, is a failure at this point because these two teams, yes, they are young, But these two teams right now are sitting at the top of the West. You sit at the top of the West for this long, you're doing something right. And to anything less than a second round team in the playoffs, you definitely don't look at it as that productive. You look at it as a building season, but also what could have been kind of season two. Clippers, I think they're going to play themselves back into maybe, I don't know. You have to see what Timberwolves and Thunder do. Maybe they falter. Clippers and Nuggets work their way back in. But, the Nuggets, they're built for the playoffs. So it's one of those things where if they get in there as a 4, who cares? I mean, that's just how it is. Clippers, too. I feel like the Clippers getting there as a 4 or a 3 seed, they wouldn't care. Suns as a 6. I mean, they want to get up there as a high seed, but the Suns as a 6 seed, they're a dangerous 6 seed. You get the Durant, you get Devin Booker, you get Bradley Beal. That's a pretty solid team, starting lineup-wise. So definitely great teams there in the Western Conference right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how these standings shake themselves out here as this season goes on. But with that, I want to get to a couple of our sponsors quick before we move on here. First, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield, right on the main drag in Marshfield. You'll find them there by the lumberyard, kind of over there. But also in Marshfield, Sports Scene, sports cards and memorabilia in the Marshfield Mall. Check out Al down there at Sports Scene. He'll help you. They got sports cards, they have jerseys, they have memorabilia, they have model cars. Everything you can think of as a collector, they have it down there. And if they don't, talk to Al. He'll help you find it. So, Sports Scene in Marshfield, located in the Marshfield Mall. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. With that, though, Brewers, we're back over the weekend there. Exciting. It was exciting. Exciting to get into Brewer baseball here. And first game of spring, I get it, spring, but you got to get excited. You got to get excited. 11-7, the Brewers won that game going up against the Padres. 13 hits for the Brewers in that game compared to the Padres' 9 in that ball game. Looking at some of the hitting for the Brewers, and this is where I got excited. Because when I saw the lineup, and I saw that the Brewers' top of their lineup was going to feature the likes of Sal Frelick, Jackson Churro, and Tyler Black, I was ecstatic. I was like, yes, this is the future. This is the future of the Brewers right in this lineup right now. And they didn't disappoint. Early on in this ball game, Frelick, Churro, Black, all getting on base, all scoring runs. It was great. Frelick 2 for 2 on the game. 2 balls were hit to him he started at third base, and this was the big question mark. How was Frelick going to do at third base? Fantastic. 2 balls he got at third. They weren't easy balls, but handled it with ease, threw the guy out. The only blunder he had was being thrown out at first base by Fernando Tatis on that single. Jackson Churro, 2 for 4. Impressive. That's what we want to see. First hit was that infield little swunter. Other than that, Jackson Churro, great day, 2 for 4. Tyler Black, 1 for 3. 1 walk on the game. That's what this guy's MO is. Man, he draws walks. He did in this one. That's what we expected. Joey Wiemer did have 2 walks in this game. He was 0 for 2, but he did have 2 walks. That was great to see Joey Wiemer's plate discipline a little bit there. Kind of something that he slacked on. And now he's getting back into it here. Other than that, Perkins, 0 for 2. He started in that game. Terang, 0 for 3. Oliver Dunn, 1 for 2 in that game. Eric Haas went 1 for 3, catching for the Brewers. The big man of the day was Wes Clark. 2 for 4. He had 2 home runs in this game, a 2-run shot and a solo shot, 3 RBIs on the game, 2 strikeouts to go, or 2, I believe he struck out 2 times besides that. But end of the day, that's exciting. That is exciting if you are the Brewers. Brock Wilken came in, another guy I wanted to watch in spring. 2 for 2 on the day. He did have a big bases clearing. I believe it was a double there, 3 RBIs late in this game here. So that was awesome. Awesome to see. All the way around exciting. It's spring. You can't really dissect it super far. You can dissect players. You can see how they're playing in spring. But at the end of the day, it's one of those times where you get to see prospects the future guys of this organization out there on the field together with some of your major league talent. And that's what we saw in this one. We saw guys that came up last year playing with guys that are going to be potentials for this year. And it was exciting all the way around in this first game. Exciting for the Brewers. Not many guys pitched for the Brewers that we were hoping to see, I guess you could say. Vieira did come in. He's about the only guy on the 40-man roster for the Brewers. He did have a strikeout and in one inning pitch, didn't give up any runs. So good work out of Vieira there. Other than that, not many guys. Tyler Wolsener, he's another big prospect for the Brewers. He had one inning pitch there, nothing across the board otherwise for him. So a good outing for Wolsener. Besides that, not much to report on the pitching side for the Brewers in this one. But yeah, Brewers 11-7 winners over the Padres in game one of this spring season. In game two, flip the script on the Brewers there. 10-3 was the final score. They did lose to the Rockies in that game. Brewers were out hitting this one, 18 hits for the Rockies in this game compared to the Brewers 5. Garrett Mitchell started in this one 0 for 3 for Garrett. William Contreras did go yard in his first at-bat, though. 1 for 2 on the day for Contreras. Tyler Black did start once again at the DH role. Nothing for him. Willie Adames 0 for on the day. Jake Bauers did have a hit in this game here, playing first base for the Brewers. Oliver Dunn had an 0 for. Owen Miller played for the Brewers, 1 for 2. Blake Perkins had an 0 for, and so did Chris Roller. All the way around this game here, good to see some of the it's all about getting guys at bats in this season or in this spring, getting guys at bats. And it was good to see Contreras coming in and, big home run right off the bat, big home run. Some of your bigger guys, Owen Miller, nobody knew how Owen Miller is going to come back this game. I still think Owen Miller could be a piece to this Brewers bench at some point this year. So seeing Owen Miller step into the lineup there, 1 hit on this game here, and I believe he did drive in a run for the Brewers there. Pitching wise for the Brewers, Colin Ray started it 1 inning. He had 2 strikeouts in that inning of work. Buckus came in. He had 3 strikeouts, 1 hit given up in an inning of work. A couple of other guys in this one, a prospect, one of the better prospects, I guess you could say, Chirno. He struggled in this one mightily, 2/3 inning, 5 earned runs, 6 hits, 1 K. Remember him last year a little bit in the minors. He did pitch well. Coming into this one, struggled in his first appearance here in the spring. But other than that, Brewers lose game 2 of the spring schedule, 10-3. That was our final there. They will be back in action. That'll be coming up today here. They will be taking on the Reds from American Family Fields of Phoenix down there. For the Reds in this one, I was trying to pull up the pitching probables for our game here coming up today. We're going to have Nick Martinez for the Reds, and Bryce Wilson will be starting for the Brewers. So Bryce Wilson will get the start for the Brewers. Good to see Bryce Wilson. I liked Bryce Wilson last year. I thought he pitched well out of the bullpen. He was relied on a lot to get the Brewers through, 1, 2, 3 innings of work, 4 innings of work. And Bryce Wilson always stepped up, and I thought he did well in his role. So good to see the Brewers there. Good to see Bryce Wilson getting back out on the mound here. Hopefully good things to come here heading into this one. Not sure on, you never are sure on the lineups this early in the day. But if you stay tuned on the Facebook page, Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade, I will release the lineups when they come out there. But with that, I wanted to kick it off here into the Wisconsin softball, women's softball. They were in action over this last weekend here, had a tournament. Trying to pull it up here. I believe they were at the Mary Nutters tournament is what it's called. Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic is what it's called there. On last Thursday, they won 3-2 over Oregon State. They did lose to number 11 Missouri on Thursday also. That was a 3-2 finish there, so a tough loss there for the Lady Badgers. They bounced back, though. On Friday, they did pick up a win against the University of San Diego before having to face number 1, one of the best teams in the country, the University of Oklahoma, and they lost that game 10-2 there. Long Beach State then followed that on Saturday with a 4-0 win, and then they did beat number 20 Utah on Saturday, also 4-2. So all in all, a very good Mary Nutter Classic for the Badgers down there. They will follow that up. They're going to be coming up here on Friday. They will head to Utah Tech. They will play at Utah Tech for that Utah Tech Invitational. Utah Tech for the first doubleheader, and then they will play the University of Utah in a 3-game set coming up there on Saturday to follow that one up. So good thing it's out of the Lady Badgers there. I believe they moved their record back to 500. Yep, sitting at 8-8, currently on that 2-game win streak right now. So good to see there out of the Lady Badgers there, picking up a couple wins in the Mary Nutter Classic. But with that, I want to mention a couple more of our sponsors here. First, our first sponsor here, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. If you need physical therapy, if you've been injured, if someone you know has been injured on the basketball court, at work, whatever it is, stop in and see Chad there at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He'll get you right and back on the court, back on the field, back to work, whatever it is. He'll get you living life once again. So Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. But with that, I got to get a crazy weekend in college hoops. So we got to talk about it here. First and foremost, looking at our Saturday slate. That's your big slate, right? You got to look at Saturday. Saturday, UConn did pick up the win. Houston got the big top 10 matchup in overtime. It was in overtime. I told you guys Baylor was going to play this game close. They just couldn't hang it in overtime there. Houston was able to hang on 13-7. They outscored the Bears there in overtime. 82-76 was the final score. So Houston solidifying that resume. I was never a fan of Houston leading up into this, but now, I mean, Houston's picking up some pretty good wins as they're slowly moving along, and good win here for the Houston in this game here. Other than that, Arizona got the win over Washington. Tennessee won their matchup with Texas A&M. Iowa State won. Wake Forest pulled off the upset win over Duke. And we're going to talk more about that game in a second here. But Kansas with the win over Texas. North Carolina pulled off the real barn burner of a game, 54-44 over Virginia. I think it's impressive. I think it's impressive how well Virginia plays defense. I got to say it. I think it's impressive. You know, a lot of people hate the slow pace that Virginia plays at. But, man, when you can hold a good North Carolina team to 54 points, you still lose, but you can hold them. You just can't find the offense to back it up. So defensively, Virginia is well. Other than that, looking at some other big games, the high-scoring affair, I thought Iowa was going to win that game against Illinois. It was a 95-85 finish there for Illinois to win that ball game. Massive win there for Illinois, pulling it off against a scrappy Iowa team in a Big Ten battle. Other than that, looking at a couple of the other notables, Kentucky pulled off a big win over Alabama. That was a high-scoring affair. 117-95 was the final in that one. Kentucky outright, they played at the Rupp. They showed it to them. They showed them a little home cooking there for the Kentucky Wildcats in that game. Auburn survived against Georgia. St. Mary's got the win. Other than that, Arizona State did upset number 21 Washington State. Number 22, Colorado State was upset. Number 23, Texas Tech was upset by UCF. And Florida did get the win over Vandy. 13 points, though. It was a 13-point game. I told you guys that game will be close. They made it close there late in that one. It was 35-20 at the half in that game, and Vandy closed the gap. They closed the gap in this one, so just want to mind that. Kansas State did get the upset win over BYU, number 25 BYU, 84-74. So a couple big games there in college hoops on Saturday. Sunday, just flipping the script here, St. John's did bounce back. Rick Pitino had that big outburst telling everybody how this team basically sucked and everything like that. You can hear the full interview. I'm not going to go through it. But St. John's got the upset win over Creighton, number 15 Creighton, 80-66. Purdue survives against Michigan, 84-76. This game was close. This game was a fight, a dog fight. In the second half there, Michigan did outscore the Boilermakers. In the second half, Marquette handled Xavier with ease. 88-64 was the final in that one. Marquette in that game, just wanted to flip over and just kind of review that game for Marquette. They controlled from the opening tip 36-26 at the half. They did score 52 points in that second half, did Marquette. So Marquette, downright impressive in this game here. Looking at the box for the Marquette Golden Eagles, Joplin had 10, 12 for Iguodaro. Cam Jones, this is a guy we talked about last time out. He had to be big for Marquette for them to put a run on. 34 points in this game, 6 for 10 from downtown. Tyler Kolek only with 11 in this game here. Other than that, bench scoring for Marquette, few and far between. So that big day for Cam Jones is kind of what paced this Marquette team. Looking at Xavier, not much going on for Xavier in this game here. They had good scoring off the bench from Green with 16. Other than that, they had 10 from Olivari. McKnight had 10, and Swan had 11 for the Xavier Musketeers in this game here. But Marquette, a big win up against Xavier in this one. Badger women did lose to Purdue over the weekend here. Green Bay men did lose to Youngstown State, and Milwaukee men got the win over Purdue, Fort Wayne there. So good weekend for Wisconsin sports-ish. I mean, there was a couple losses sprinkled in there, but we're going to call it a good weekend for Wisconsin sports there. But with that, I wanted to get back to the Duke and Wake Forest game, because there was something coming out of that game, and it was after the game that really sparked my interest. I didn't watch the game personally. First off, I hate Duke. Just going to put it out there. Everybody knows that. If you've been listening long enough, you know that I hate Duke. So we know that. But, this game here, Wake Forest was actually favored to win against Duke. Duke was going on the road there to Wake for this one, and Wake Forest was favored to win. After the game, Wake Forest pulls off the upset. Understandably, Duke was number 7 in the country after this game here. Or, well, probably won't be anymore, but Duke was number 7 when this game was played. So you got a top 10 win. I get that. But you're favored going into the game. Now, after the game, final buzzer rings. Fans start to storm the court. Now, everything's fine and dandy. We have seen 1,000,001 court storms in my entire life. I've seen them all. Fantastic. I've seen the Badgers get court stormed. I've seen the Badgers storm the court there when they win big games. I understand court storming. But why? And, I hate having to stand up for Duke players because I don't like Duke. We know this. I don't like people that go to Duke. That's just me. It's just my superstition. That's my sport thing. But when a player gets injured, now I know Flipikowski was walking off the court, and I know he could have hurried. He could have walked a little bit faster. I'm not saying that Flip couldn't have walked a little bit faster. I'm not justifying Flip kind of provoking what happened. But, end of the day, as a player, you have the right to be... Flip had a matter of 5 seconds. He's on the opposite side of the court when the final buzzer rings. I don't know what people who say that, well, Flip should have gotten off the court. What is Flip supposed to do? Full-on dead sprint off the court there when the game's over? I mean, you're going to ask guys to do that just to get out of the way? And I'm going to say it's in the nicest way possible. A bunch of idiots can run onto the floor as fast as they can, not even noticing what's going on. That's the biggest thing. You look at the Caitlin Clark situation. Now you look at the Flip situation. And I get both situations were players kind of taking their time getting off the floor. Yes. But you have fans running onto the court with their cell phones out. They got their cell phones out. They don't know what's going on in front of them. They're just running. No understanding for what's happening in front of them. So a guy cuts in front of Flip. What is Flip supposed to do? Is he just supposed to stop and let the next guy who's coming run into him? Flip pushes him out of the way. He pushes this guy who's walking in front of him. In that same token, gets tripped up and actually sprains his ankle in that situation. I get it. There's been, if we had to, you could go through a whole highlight reel on YouTube right now of court storms and no players were injured. Okay. But how many times are we going to watch this scene? How many times can you afford to have players? And it's not saying that every time there's a court storm that somebody gets hurt, because it's not. It's not. Not every time there's a court storm does everybody get hurt. But it's in instances like this. It's in these times like this where you say to yourself, do we have to somewhat ban this? I mean, you look at the ACC is actually one of the only conferences who does not have a fine for players storming the court. I do know that. Looking at, see if I can't pull it up here. The SEC actually has a $100,000 fine for the first offense, and then $250,000 for the second, and $500,000 for the third. The PAC is actually $25,000 for the first, $50 and $100,000 for subsequent penalty or offenses, and then the Big 12 fined UCF $25,000 in January. The Big East has a $5,000 fine. The Big 10 has no fines until the third offense. So the ACC doesn't have a fine. The rest of these fines, I mean, who cares? I mean, you're not going to give a fine to every person that runs out on that court. So what do? You have to find a way. I don't know if it's, you got to give the time for the players to get off the court. I get fans are excited, but they're also stupid. I'm a fan. I can say sometimes I watch games, I get stupid. I mean, there was a time back in the day where I was watching the Badgers and Bronson Koenig hit that corner three against Xavier. I jumped up and I broke my grandmother's ceiling fan. I'll admit to it, plain as day, I'll admit to it. I broke that ceiling fan. Fans get stupid. They do stupid things. We've seen how many videos of people punching their TVs or breaking their TVs. We get it. It's fandom. But with fandom, you got to be able to control emotion enough that when you run out onto a floor, you're not risking injuring one of these players. One of the guys, I mean, Flip's tired, right? You just played a full game. You're tired. You want to walk off the floor, get to the handshake line. You just lost in upset fashion. Probably going to drop out of the top 10 again. That sucks. So Flip's a little ticked off. He's walking off the court. Why should he have to worry about some idiot running in from his blind side and running across his face? That's where my problem lies. I get it. Storming the court, how do you make it go away? How do you change it? Do you put an electric fence up? Do you put, like we talked about a while ago on the show, do you put a bull gate up? And as it's going, I mean, you give them a 10-second timer and you open up the gate and you let the students run out then? What do? It's one of those things where I don't think there's an easy answer to it, except for there's two ways you can shake it. You can either let it go. You can try and have it defended a little bit, put more security, everything like that. Make sure you have security out on the floor. Wake Forest was favored in that game. You're playing the number 7 team in the country. I mean, we knew it was coming. The security team has to know it's coming. You have to be able to keep fans off the court until these players are gone. I mean, in all reality, these players are walking off the floor. They don't care. They're walking off the floor too. They're going to go back to the locker room at some point here. The fans just stand out there jumping around then for who knows why. You have to find the happy medium. I don't know what the happy medium is. To me, I've always loved the people that storm the court. I always have. I can't say that I would ban it just simply because I don't know how you do it. But something has to change. If players continue to get injured during this, what are you going to do? You got to protect the players. You have to. These are the guys playing the game. You have to protect them. The fans, we don't care. If they get hurt running out on the floor because they're idiots, that's them. That's their fault. I mean, this guy, we've seen it twice now. Caitlin Clark and Flip. Both fans, if you watch the video, aren't really paying attention to the guy walking, right? I mean, you have to be courteous of the guy walking off the floor. Flip's not trying to start anything. Flip's just trying to get off the court. He's not running. I don't believe players should have to run for their lives. It's not like there's a stampede of bulls coming. It's not the tour over there where there's a whole parade of bulls chasing it down. It's not that. This is a basketball game. This is after a basketball game. And Flip sprains his ankle. Now, we don't know if it's full sprain or whatever it is or what's going to come out of it. But we know a guy was injured, at least. That's got to spark a problem. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to hear what people think. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Send us a message on Facebook. Comment to us, whatever it is. Let us know what you think about storming the court there. And what's your opinion? What would you do? And do you ban it or do you try to control it a little bit? But with that, that's about all I got for today. We had a lot to talk about. We got a lot more to talk about tomorrow there. We got the Badgers coming back in action here. There's got to be something going on with the Packers we're going to be talking about. Brewers will be in action today, coming up at 2:10. We're going to recap that game coming up tomorrow here. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.